Very cozy, likable, and with a little bit of edge. This one here is one of the best year-round fragrances that I've experienced recently. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Off, and I'm Daniel. Today we're talking fragrances, and this is a practical review of Arabesque by the Merchant of Venice. These reviews are for fragrances I have a lot of experience with, multiple wears in many situations, and I'm meant to give you a general idea of what it feels to wear the fragrance. As per usual, I do a lot of research before buying fragrances, but I don't really like to go into details about notes in a course. I don't think that they help the end user. I'd rather talk about the wear experience as a whole. The Merchant of Venice is an interesting brand. I've been well aware of the fragrances for quite some time. I've seen them float around on social media, on YouTube, on Parfuma Fragrantica, some of the fragrances getting a lot of traction, and some even getting quite hyped. Arabesque is definitely the more popular from the brand, and I would say for good reason. This is a beautiful, cozy fragrance, which is surprisingly light. Yes, the DNA is fairly basic. It does compare to stuff like Tabac, but it offers so much more under the curtains. And as I said, despite being aware of the brand for quite some time, the fragrance has really never sparked my interest. I never really got the combination of this weird Venetian bottle design, which is absolutely beautiful in person, by the way, and the contents of the perfumes themselves. The perfumes, at least from the description, they all come across as fairly Middle Eastern. And again, maybe it has to do with the trade routes. Maybe it has to do with Venice being one of the major trade cities in ancient times. Maybe it's that. It's actually kind of a cool story and concept if you look at it under that lens. Myself, I just can't get over the fact that a very Italian perfumery house, very traditionally rooted, is producing these Middle Eastern inspired fragrances. It just comes across as a little bit authentic, a little bit cheap. That being said, these scents smell everything but cheap. They're super beautiful, they're so luxurious, they're so multifaceted. Yes, they're a little bit simple, but they're really, really nice. To be completely honest, I have to say that I've never smelled anything from the Merchant of Venice until very, very recently, and I have to say, once again, honestly, that I completely misjudged the brand. I smelled the Merchant of Venice just for the first time when I was in Bern at the end of June, and I walked into a shop and they just had them on display. So my curiosity took over. I went up to the shelf and I started spraying them. And this one here really, really caught my attention. It was so rich and so different. Again, it's rich, it's dense, it's luxurious, it's creamy, and it's cozy while still being incredibly wearable. This wear is so much lighter, it's so much fresher than anything online might suggest. If you look at the notes for this, you might be tempted into thinking that this is your typical sweet gourmand fall and winter scent only. If you watch reviews online, you might be convinced to think the same thing. But this is so much more. This is one of the best all year round fragrances that I smelled recently. It's also incredibly unisex. It's so beautiful, so cozy, but at the same time invigorating, and has great staying power and longevity. It's basically a jack of all trades. Is it a master of none? Well, kind of. It's not super unique, but overall, it's really, really good, and I highly, highly recommend it. That being said, we have to face one of the drawbacks of this scent. We have to face one of its realities. This fragrance at retail is very, very expensive. I was super lucky because right after my trip to Bern, where I sampled this and many others from the brand, I stumbled upon the trade page on Parfumo for one of my contacts, and she had this one available. I immediately contacted her, we made the trade, and here I am. For the past 2 months, this scent has pretty much become my dumb reach evening scent. It's just that nice, it's that simple. Every now and then, it's really nice to detach from the complex scents, go to something simple, go to something nice and cozy, nice and wearable. This has really hit the spot in those areas. But we're going to talk about the scent profile and wear experience after we cover the presentation. When it comes to presentation, the brand of the Merchant of Venice comes across as really, really unique. These products are insanely high-end. They feel so luxurious. The bottles are very recognizable, almost to an iconic level. The bottles themselves, though, carry some sort of Italian quirkiness. They have some Italian clunkiness. As beautiful as they are, they're not the most practical fragrances ever. They're heavy, they're weird to hold, the cap is weird, it doesn't really click into place, the atomizer is really not that great, but they show so well on the shelf. They're basically miniature art pieces. Apparently, these bottles are made from Murano glass, which is an island next to Venice, specialized in blowing glass. I'm not really sure if that's truly the case, but it really looks so. The glass is beautiful, it's painted, it's absolutely gorgeous. Again, it looks like nothing else on the shelf. These are so beautiful that I actually migrated this bottle to my bathroom just because it looks so damn good. As I just said, the brand brand is incredibly recognizable by design, and most of the bottles showcased in the catalog come in this shape. Come to think about it, I think that the perfumes which are targeting men have a different shape. I seem to remember them more squared off, maybe even more rectangular, and maybe even taller. Anyway, Arabesque is definitely marketed as unisex. It has this shape, and this shape is definitely the one also used for the more feminine fragrances. By the way, one of the reasons why Arabesque is priced as high as it is because it's part of a more special collection called the Murano Exclusives with other fragrances. I'm not necessarily sure which other are included in the set, but this one here is, again, the standout. It's the more famous one. It's the hypest one. Going back to the presentation of Arabesque, one of the things that really stands out right away is clearly the cap. The cap is solid. It's really, really heavy. It's incredibly well made. It feels milled from a solid block of steel. It's so detailed. On top, you have an engraving, which is beautiful. It just feels really well made all around. And despite snapping onto the bottle with decent confidence, the sheer weight of the cap itself makes it really clunky. It's also kind of slippery, and it's difficult to handle. Well, actually, difficult is a little bit of an overstatement, because it's still a fragrance, but when you're distracted and you grab this bottle, it just feels like unnecessarily complicated. It's really, really beautiful though, undeniably beautiful. Although it makes it look good on the shelf, another slightly annoying thing about the presentation from a pure practical point of view is this dangling pendant, which is showcasing the name of the fragrance and the name of the brand. This cannot be removed unless you cut the cord, because it's basically screwed under the collar of the atomizer. Every time you pick up the fragrance, this thing just shingles, it's in the way, it's just a faff. I know it's completely trivial, but this is just an example of that Italian quirkiness I was talking about. Overall though, the bottle looks majestic. It really looks super good. Even the bottle itself, which is actually made of glass because it looks like metal, is absolutely gorgeous, pretty much faultless. You have no manufacturing signs, no seams, no nothing. The paint on it is absolutely beautiful. The bottle itself is even semi-translucent, so you can easily see the content inside. Again, presentation, pretty much 10 out of 10. I almost forgot to test the atomizer. Let's give it a couple sprays, maybe even 3. Once again, I've been wearing this as my scent of the day. The atomizer is good. It's really good in materials, it's really good in haptics, but it doesn't spray a ton of fragrance. It sprays in a very simple way. It sprays in a very traditional way. Again, I'm not complaining. It does the job. It just could be a little bit better. The fragrance itself, though, is magical. I've worn this all day at the office. I've worn this yesterday. It's so, so beautiful, so warming and so cozy. But at the same time, it's, again, fresh, surprisingly fresh. There's something in the top which is really elevating the scent profile, making it very, very bright, making the fragrance truly sing. This is so beautiful. It's so likable and so mass appealing. I can't picture anyone not liking this scent. Topping off the presentation, let's talk value for money. And as I previously mentioned, when it comes to retail pricing, this is very, very expensive. I think it hovers above $300. Thankfully, this is quite easy to find at discounters, or rather, maybe not Arabesque specifically, but the Merchant of Venice, at least in Europe, is plentiful at discounters. The prices are very, very low. I've seen some fragrances by the Merchant of Venice go as low as $70, still sporting this beautiful, incredible presentation. I'm not necessarily sure about the scent profile, but again, the non-hyped fragrances from the brand are pretty much unknown. So more in general, for those individuals which are not necessarily chasing hype, I would almost consider this house a little bit of a sleeper brand. They offer amazing fragrances in a beautiful, gorgeous packaging, which will definitely showcase well on the shelf. It's really, really cool. As far as Arabesque goes, I think that if you can get this for about $150, it's well worth it. It's super beautiful. And again, this bottle is 100 ml, so it will last a pretty long time because the longevity of the fragrance is actually really, really good. But it's finally time to talk about the scent profile and wear experience for Arabesque by the Merchant of Venice. What does this actually smell like? Describing this fragrance is surprisingly not that simple. This is a fairly complex fragrance and it really comes at you all together. There's no real theme, there's no real image, there's nothing to hang on to, nothing to latch on to really leverage the description. This comes across as sweet, cuddly, and comforting. There's definitely a strong tobacco note, which I will reference in a bit, but there's something fruity, there's something fresh in the top, which really elevates this fragrance above others on the genre. To me, this is mostly a comforting, easy to pull off, very likable scent to just throw on in the evening when nothing else is available, when you want to keep it simple. This is almost dumb reach territory, which is again a strong departure from the very complex, very elaborate presentation. As I also mentioned in my introduction, this kind of smells like tobacco vanille. It has this beautiful pipe tobacco sort of aroma, but it's not too cloying, not too heavy. It's very, very likable, completely unisex. And if you're one of those people which is usually put off by the note of tobacco, thinking that it's far too masculine and far too gritty, fear not. The tobacco in here is smooth, it's sublime, it's like a warm hug. It almost has this hay-like component, which is so beautiful and so delicate. It's so incredibly well done, but it still smells like tobacco. Really, really particular. Also, one of the best features of this scent, as I also mentioned before, and as I will keep repeating throughout this review, is the surprising freshness, the surprising wearability. This fragrance is not cloying at all. It's not heavy at all. It doesn't oppress you at all. This is not a winter-only fragrance. It's not a fall fragrance, although fall would really shine for this fragrance. This is a year-round wear. It's so, so beautiful. And I think I got surprised by the unexpected freshness of this, because when I went into the shop to sample it, I was very much unprepared. I had not read the notes. I had not read the scent profile. I basically knew nothing about the fragrance itself. All I thought I knew is that this would be some sort of a gourmand vanillic amber thing, and boy was I wrong. When I first sprayed it on, I was floored. And when you first spray it on, the first thing that will meet your nose is this beautiful freshness. It's so light, so airy, and so fruity, and not in a Xerjoff erba pura way. It's in a very, very subtle way. It actually took me some wears to really uncover this fruity note, so much so that without reading the notes, I probably never would have identified this very distinct plum note. I'm just not familiar with plum, but the plum is there and very, very vivid. Once you smell it, once you know what it is, you will not be able to unsmell it, and it adds so much texture to the scent. It's so bright, so fruity, so delicate at the same time. It's not in your face and it's not too sweet. It's just perfectly balanced. And although in my opinion it's one of the defining features of this fragrance, and it's also one of the things that really elevates this above all of the other similar scents on the market, that fruity top zingy note, it's not necessarily the only thing that you're going to be picking up in the opening, because as I said before, this scent presents as a wall. It presents as a whole, and that is actually one of the reasons why this scent is so difficult to describe and to deconstruct. It really takes some time to adapt to it. It's beautiful, it's wearable, it's not too complex or narrative, but it just takes some time to really understand what it is. It just comes across as beautiful. When you first spray it on, it's like, wow, this scent really is beautiful. It's really captivating, but I don't know why. And as you get more and more familiar with the fragrance, as you put in more wears, you start to identify all of those components which make up the scent profile. There's that beautiful fruity top, which gives the fragrance so much zing, so much effervescence, and so much radiance. And then as you go down, you start to identify the tobacco. The tobacco in this fragrance is definitely one of the protagonists. As I said before, it's very smooth, it's very hay-like, but at the same time it has some texture, it has a little bit of grittiness. It's very, very beautiful, and it's also dry. It comes across almost as a dry, powdery tobacco. It's also a little bit spicy, and maybe there's some actual spices coming into play. Maybe there's a little bit of cinnamon, maybe there's a little bit of cardamom. There's something in here which is giving the tobacco a distinct dryness. It's also kind of reminding me of L'air du désert marocain by Andy Tower. It wears in a similar way, and I'm surprised about this. Maybe again, because I was expecting something much more vanillic, much more sticky, but this is very, very dry and very airy, and every time I put it on, I'm like, wow, this wears surprisingly light. And it's also beautifully sweet. And again, not sweet in a cloying way, it's sweet in a very natural way. The tobacco in here has this weird fermented sweetness, which almost comes across as slightly boozy. It's very, very particular. It adds a lot of depth, it adds a lot of complexity, and just in general, adds a lot of volume and body to the scent. It's very intriguing, very entertaining. As this fragrance presents itself as a wall, as it presents itself as a whole, you also start picking up on the base notes right away. The base is definitely a little bit rumbly. It offers some vanilla notes, something sweet, maybe some ambers, maybe some benzoin or something like that. I think that there's also a slight component of incense, because it comes across as, again, light in a smoky fog-like way. It's very, very particular. I really can't stress enough how much the wear experience is impacted by this dryness, this sense of airiness and cleanliness. It's very, very particular, especially for a fragrance sporting this scent profile, especially for a fragrance that has these notes: tobacco, amber, benzoin, plum. You would not expect a wear experience as fresh as this offers. And hammering that point home, beating that dead horse to death, once again, I really want to underline how beautiful the tone distribution is for this fragrance. It has high highs with those fruity notes. There's something clean and effervescent in there, which really gives this fragrance a lot of radiance. And at the same time, in the base, deep there rumbling, is that benzoin, that vanilla. There's something sweet, which is giving this fragrance a low lingering effect, and everything in between. It's so balanced, so well composed. I'm so surprised. And it really elevates this fragrance above the rest. And even if you take the most blatant comparison to this, which is Tom Ford's Tabac, which by the way is a fragrance that I really like, this one here stands head and shoulders above it. It's much more elevated, much more fun and exhilarating. It just comes across also as much more unisex. I feel that the density of Tabac comes across as masculine. It has a grittiness, it has a texture to it, which is not present in here. This is very wearable. It's so easy to put on. It's so easy to put on and forget. But at the same time, it really cuddles you. It really comforts you, and it really accompanies you for many hours. The longevity of this is really good. When it comes to transition and evolution, I'll keep it extremely brief. The thing is fairly static. It doesn't really move much. It doesn't really evolve. It's very stable and predictable. All good things for fragrances of this type. Very utilitarian fragrances, almost dumb reach fragrances that you just throw on and forget about. This thing here will accompany you top to bottom in a very linear manner, in a very predictable manner, offering beautiful nuances throughout. This is a simple scent. It's really not complex. It's not narrative. It's not trying to convey any image or mood. It's not really trying to tell a story. It's just a beautiful, simple scent, excellently packaged with an incredibly beautiful wear experience, very linear, that will accompany you top to bottom for many hours. But it's time to talk about some practicalities for Arabesque by the Merchant of Venice, starting off with performance. The longevity that I get for this is actually fairly good. I get 7 to 8 hours, which is not mind-blowing. It's not beast mode, but it's really good, especially for a scent this light, which is surprising. Even more surprising, though, is the projection curve, is the overall wear experience. As I said before, it's very linear, so well tailored. And when you first spray it on, you get a lot of projection. You get a lot of beautiful sillage. As the scent dries, the sillage fades and it eventually becomes a skin scent, but it's so linear, it really goes unnoticed. You kind of forget that you're wearing a scent, and it just really accompanies you deep into the dry down. And when you get close to the skin, you can still smell it. It's still very nuanced, it's still very complex. It's really great. I really can't fault the wear experience in general. When it comes to actual versatility in use cases, I do think that this comes across as pretty versatile. Again, it's fresh, surprisingly so. So much so that I do think that this can be worn in pretty much every situation. Day to night, casual to elegant, work or leisure. It's really functional. It's beautiful, it's mass appealing, it's likable, it won't offend anyone. It's also unisex. It's also nondescript enough that it can be easily pushed into the background. It's great. It's really great. To be a little bit more specific and maybe even a little bit more picky, although I have worn this during the daytime and even successfully pulled this off at the office, those two environments are not necessarily my first choice for the scent profile. This really shines in the evening. It really shines when you want to wind down. It's so comforting and cozy. It's the perfect day ender. It's really beautiful, and it's not shouty at all. This is not necessarily a party scent. It's beautiful for evening with friends, to go out for dinner, but if you want something powerful to really animate the party, to really have you recognized among a crowd, this is not really it. Other than that though, it works in pretty much every situation. I have not worn this at the gym just because, again, the scent profile is not really conducive to activity. It's just so relaxing, but I can't see how it could work out. Again, it's not offensive, it's beautiful, it's likable, so I doubt that anyone would complain. It's not even that sweet. It's just really well made and super balanced. The fact that it's so simple and lacking narration really plays in its favor when it comes to versatility. And even when it comes to demographics, this is very unisex. It can be worn by pretty much anyone, regardless of gender or personality or even age. This is fun. It's fun, it's youthful, it's modern, but at the same time it has this classical vibe. It's really interesting. Again, extremely well done, extremely well made. I think that if you zero in on it a little bit more, if you want to be a little bit more picky regarding age, you could potentially say that this requires a little bit more experience just because it wears in a very elegant manner. It's not super youthful. The scent profile is very fun, but it's not beast mode, it's not shouty. This is elegant, it's kind, it's subtle, and it's very cozy. Other than that, it's incredible. I really like wearing this. It's just so beautiful and simple. I kind of spoil the imagery and narration department just because the scent is so simple and so plain Jane. It has no storytelling whatsoever. I get no images, I get no mood, no nothing. I get nothing related to Venice, nothing related to the spices or to the merchant trading. If anything, I get comforting images of like a living room, of like a sofa and a blanket, of a fireplace. I get beautiful cozy images because this scent is such a blast to wear in the evening. Maybe it's because I'm associating the scent profile to my recent wears and applications. As I said, I mostly wore this in the evenings. Maybe it's because I'm associating this to Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille, which is another scent pretty much deprived of narration. Nonetheless, this is something that I throw on and I forget. It's incredibly easy to wear. It's incredibly easy to push into the background. It makes for an incredibly beautiful signature scent, maybe for the evenings, maybe for the winter and fall. It has this cuddly, comforting, relaxing factor, which is almost second to none. All right, time to talk about some fragrance options. In the case for Arabesque by the Merchant of Venice, I really wanted to showcase fragrances that featured the note of tobacco, but in a sweet, smooth way. Fragrances that are not too deep, not too complex, but have a nice radiance to them. Let's start off with Naxos. This one here was predictable. This is basically the most famous tobacco fragrance on the market. It's super hyped and for good measure. It's a very, very good fragrance. This fragrance is basically a duality composed by lavender and tobacco. It's fresh up top and it's dense on the bottom. It's not too sweet, it's not too overwhelming, it's incredibly well balanced, and in a similar way to the Merchant of Venice, it makes for an incredible, beautiful signature scent wear, maybe for the colder months, maybe for the summer evenings. It's just so likable, wearable, and mass appealing. It's really, really hard to go wrong with this. And although Naxos is definitely not my favorite Xerjoff, that place probably going to Zefiro just because it's so insanely unique. I think I actually prefer Arabesque to this. It has a similar wear experience, it has a similar airiness, it has a similar zing. This one here might be a little bit more masculine due to that lavender, and Arabesque has that plum note. It really depends on you. I would say sample both together and really decide what works for you. Arabesque also has a much more prominent tobacco note. I think it's much more defined. The tobacco in here is not immediately apparent. This is much more of a syrupy sort of base. There is tobacco in here and you can definitely pick it out if you really squint hard, but it doesn't have the grittiness, it doesn't have the dustiness or the texture of the tobacco in Arabesque. That being said, Naxos is widely available, easy to get at discounters at a very, very good price. Overall, this is a strong recommendation for me. If you're new to niche, if you're looking for a signature set, maybe for the colder months, this is basically a no-brainer. The second fragrance that I want to showcase is one of my recent acquisitions. This one here is by Tabac and it's Vanille Absolue. I really, really like this fragrance. It's so high quality. It smells like nothing else in my repertoire. This is a vanilla fragrance with a lot of tobacco, and I brought it in because of this beautiful tobacco note, which is actually surprisingly realistic and comparable to the Arabesque. The tobacco note in here is easy, sweet, and multifaceted. It also possesses a little bit of texture and grittiness in a similar way to the one in Arabesque. This one also features beautiful dryness typical of Tower fragrances, again similar to Arabesque. What differs though is that Arabesque has that beautiful fruity plum note at top, and this one here has a very slight, almost mentholated geranium rose note. It's very, very particular. This fragrance overall comes across as much more deep than Arabesque. It's much more longer lasting. It feels a lot richer. This comes across as comforting, like a warm blanket. It has really, really nice presence. It has a nice body, and it actually is surprisingly masculine, especially considering that it's advertised as a vanilla fragrance. So fear not, if you hate vanilla, give this a try. It's really, really particular. I think that between the two new releases from the Absolue line, the vanilla, which is this one, and the rose, I think I strongly prefer the vanilla. The vanilla just has this way of presenting itself. It's so delicate, but at the same time it has power, it has presence. It moves like a tidal wave in a very slow manner. It's really, really great, and it has a surprising amount of depth. Again, the tobacco, in my opinion, is a star of the show in this fragrance, and the vanilla is just like a supporting brick wall. It's the foundation. The tobacco in here is really, really beautiful, and again, it's comparable to Arabesque. It really depends on what you like. Pricing wise, I think that they're also priced similar, except for the fact that this is a 50 ml. So yes, you get a lot more money's worth in Arabesque if you find it at a discounted price. The last fragrance that I want to showcase is definitely the most powerful and most punchy of the bunch. I really like this fragrance. This is Café Tabac by Aedes de Venustas. This is in a league of its own. It's so great. This is perfumed by Bertrand Duchaufour, one of my favorite perfumers ever, and this is meant to replicate the idea of a club in New York, maybe in the winter. You enter this club and you met with this wall of humidity, containing smoke, containing booze, containing atmosphere. This is rich. There's so many notes in here. I'm not going to list any of them. It mainly comes across as a beautiful and realistic pipe tobacco smell with a little bit of a sweet undertone, probably given by dried fruits or something like that. There's also a little bit of a boozy component. It's so rich. Again, it's dense. It has a lot of presence, and it has incredible longevity. Once you spray this on, you will not forget you have it. This thing shouts. It's completely different from Arabesque. It really demands your attention. This is not super complex narration-wise, but it has a nice, bold vibe, which will definitely let itself be heard. It's also much more masculine than both Arabesque and the Tower. It's such an exhilarating fragrance. It's so demanding. It's really fun. I love wearing this. This is actually one of my favorite tobacco fragrances, together with Royal Tobacco by Amouage. And by the way, these two are absolutely not redundant whatsoever. Royal Tobacco is much more smoky. It's much more bitter. Has a licorice note, which is overwhelming. This one here is rich. It's sweet. It's comforting. It's really particular. I love this fragrance. I love the house of Aedes de Venustas in general. And if you live in the US, do yourself a favor, sample some of the fragrances. Almost all of them are perfumed by Bertrand Duchaufour. True great stuff. But back to Arabesque for our final recommendations and overview. This fragrance is truly exceptional. It's just one of those fragrances which is extremely well made, so easy to pull off, so easy to wear. It's just really beautiful. Is it my favorite fragrance of all time? Absolutely not. You know me. You know that I like narrative fragrances. You know that I like complex fragrances. But this thing here really surprised me in the wear department. It's just so incredibly well made. It wears beautifully. It wears in a simple, linear manner. It's a beautiful, cozy, cuddly scent that can be surprisingly put on and worn year-round. It's really remarkable in this regard. It doesn't really match the bottle presentation. It doesn't really match the history of the house. It's weird in that regard, and that, surprisingly, is actually a put-off to me. I like fragrances that match their concept, their idea. This one here feels still out of place. It feels a little bit like a cheap thing. Also, the presentation is absolutely excellent. It's incredibly luxurious, and it's showcased in such a majestic way on the shelf. If you're one of those people that doesn't have a lot of fragrances and you're seeking something of this scent profile, Arabesque is a high recommendation. And dare I say it, it's almost blind buy safe. If you're looking for something with a scent profile, if you like tobacco with a little bit of edge while still retaining a lot of wearability, this is pretty much a safe bet. Am I saying to go out and buy this? Absolutely not. But if you find this at a steal, maybe even sub $100, give it a go. It's really great. It's highly recommended. Also, as I said before, the House of the Merchant of Venice might be low-key one of those sleeper brands that might deserve some further investigation. I'll be probably doing that very soon. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to video, feel free to subscribe. It's always massively appreciated and helps the channel. If you want to interact with me, leave a comment, suggestion, opinion, or anything else down below. I always reply, and I always keep the conversation open. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. It's never taken for granted. Many more videos to come, many more reviews to come, many more from fragrances to showcase. See you in the next one, and cheers.